Alright, so a lot has happened since I posted my last video. And yes, judging from the length of this video, you could see how much stuff has happened during the course of that time. And you know what? I'm gonna have to kind of blame myself for that. Mainly because of the fact that I did say in the video I made before the last one I made that, it was gonna be my last video on OREA Gaming, right? And, I thought that, after that, I could just make videos about whatever the hell I wanted and just, be happy, right? But apparently, because of the fact I said something like that in that video, a lot of people decided that, maybe because of the fact that that's his last video he's gonna make on Orea Gaming, that, maybe we can start attacking him again, mainly because he'll never make a video like this ever again, right? But, oh boy, how the Streisand effect hits. And you know what? While yes, there were a lot of people who saw the video I made before the last one I made, and they did end up being very supportive, even so much so that they gave me a lot of information to make this video exist. So, why not? Now, here's the thing. What I am gonna plan on doing for this is that I'll do like, another trilogy, but the thing is that this is not going to be guaranteed that this will be the last one. For all you guys know, I very well could be making videos on this person forever. So I would suggest you guys chill out for a little bit before things get so drastic that we have another Marty versus Cyraxx incident. And this time, I'll be Marty. Regardless, with all that being said, I decided to use a new intro, mainly because of the copyright problems that happened with the last one I used. Now, don't get upset because the old intro will come back eventually. But for now, you're gonna have to stick with this for longer videos like, well, this. And before anyone asks, yes, this new intro is going to be a tribute to the legacy of Kobarnerminy456. And maybe even classic YouTube as a whole before 2015. Or even the 2020s for all that matter, because even before 2020 and during the times of 2015 to 2019, YouTube was still better than how it is now. Regardless, I'm just going to start the intro. And yes, I do plan on changing a little bit of this intro to add other stuff in it as well, mainly because there are plenty of things out there that I would love to pay tribute to. So, yeah. With that being said, where the hell do I even begin with what even happened with all this stuff? Back when I made a previous video on this person, which was before the last video that I made before this one, right? Like, basically, back then she had 12 subscribers. Now she has 18. Usually, this would be a call to alarm because of the fact that, oh, she's growing subscribers. But you know what? At this point, fuck it. Let her gain subscribers. Why? Because we all know the only people who are subscribing to this person's channel are idiots from Kiwifarms. And you know what? With that being said, when I reveal what I'm about to reveal in this video, oh boy, I can't wait for all of those people who are subscribed to her to find this information. Why, you may ask? Because, oh boy. We all know for a fact that when it comes to Kiwifarms, they can't resist going after someone with the information that I have saved public for everyone to see. So, yeah. Okay, so as you can see here, Aurea decided to make her own trilogy about me. Now, two of these videos I'm not really gonna cover, mainly because for one of them, the person who originally uploaded it doesn't even stand by its existence anymore. And for the other one, well, it's really just the usual affair when it comes to like dealing with someone that another person doesn't like. Oh, they're upset, therefore they're evil. Okay, whatever you say. But the first one in here is an actual attempt to debunk one of my videos in this series. Not the first one, not the third one, the second one. Keep in mind, every single one of these videos I've made about her are all out by the time that this video was made. So, why not? Let's just take a look at this video right here and her attempts to debunk me, I guess. I don't know. Okay, this point I find to be extremely weird, mainly because, for one, there are people out there who actually do have intros that I would consider quote unquote emo, but at the same time, they don't ever get any flack for it. And another thing, too, that I need to address as well when it comes to this point is that I really don't think my intro is very emo. Is it somber? Yes. But at the same time, it's trying to promote a positive message, which most emo media doesn't really seem to do. Sometimes they can, other times, most often they really don't. And also, I find it absolutely hilarious that OREA is still jumping on the emo hate bandwagon that was around back in 2015, when most emo stuff that exists now, or hell, even emo stuff that people are nostalgic for, are looked at positively nowadays. Probably because the only alternative they have is
Skibbity Biden.
Skibbity Biden. Skibbity, skibbity Biden. Skibbity Biden. Joe. Skibbity Biden. Hitler's language. Trump is using Hitler's language. Hitler's language. Trump is using Hitler's language. Skibbity.
wait a minute, you're telling me that I'm not allowed to point out the elephant in the room? I mean, really think about it like this. I've been criticized, or even attacked for that matter, for a long time because of the fact that before in the past I've had intros that were around this length, some of which even longer. And you don't think I have a platform to explain why having an intro of that length is okay. Not only that, but this is such a confusing thing to say to someone in this type of situation. Like, yeah, the point is very surface level, but at the same time, what is there to really talk about in something like this? Like, you could use the argument that I could just ignore this, but at the same time, like, pretty sure that there are going to be people out there who would see this as like a legitimate point. Which really does bother me because even during the times of the SCC and beforehand too, you had to really explain why what you're doing is acceptable, alongside explaining why what someone did was wrong, as opposed to this. Yes, because I'm not justified in thinking that, it's bad that people are not only just trying to ruin my life, others as well. Seriously, how are you gonna call this whining when, like, so far a lot of the stuff I've been saying about these types of people is pretty much justified, especially in the video that came after the one that you're talking about now, which I know for a fact was uploaded around the time this video was. It's almost like this person is intentionally trying to go out of their way to ignore the fact that there's a lot of stuff that I'm saying that's like, true. So wait, you think that people going into my comment section and calling you out for being an abhorrent person is the same thing as people quote unquote meat writing me? Now, here's the thing with that word in particular, meat writing, right? Personally, I believe that it can only be applicable in extreme circumstances. This is one of the many times I could point to that phrase being used inadequately, mainly because they're not going out of their way to like praise me for practically no reason. No, what they're doing here is that they're going after you. They're going after you and saying like all the stuff that could be said about you that make sense, mainly because of the fact that you are just like not really a good person, like at all. To a lot of people, this point right here would make sense. That is until you realize that the context of why that was even shown to begin with was completely removed. And, now that I have the opportunity to do so, let me show you what the actual context to why that clip was even put up in the first place. Yes, because unhinged content isn't allowed on the internet. Yes, because everyone in this video deserves to have a thread simply just because they're not abiding by the status quo. Which is kind of weird to get upset about on the internet because, well, it's the internet. It's been like this since the beginning. If you don't like it here, be Amish. Actually, maybe it would be nice if all of Kiwifarms became Amish, because then they'd tear each other apart for finding singular differences within each other. Yeah, the point of showing that clip is to prove that the internet has always had a history of being somewhat unhinged, and the fact that the people on Kiwifarms are trying to suppress that is only just going to make the internet a worse place overall for everyone. Okay, so just now, I actually did end up looking at that person's community tab, and what did I find? Did I find some secret, abhorrent, evil bullshit that this person could have done? Did I find something so horrendous that it would be comparable to the Holocaust itself? Well, oh no, he's wearing a dress. I don't know what phobia this is, but like I'm pretty sure that, this is completely out of bigotry. You'd probably would have been able to manipulate your audience better if you didn't show the exact reason why I brought up politics. Oh, wow. Bringing up politics for no reason proceeds to show the reason. And yes, the best way to end a video and to prove to everyone how quote unquote wrong I am is by ending the video with nothing but ad hominems. Because that sure worked when I was in the commentary community and I did that. Okay, so the first time I saw this video, something weird came up in my mind while listening to the audio. The audio and the visuals didn't seem to match when compared to the original video, which was uploaded onto my channel. So I decided to slow down this video to see if there's any weird audio crap that they put in. And lo and behold, this is what I find.
Love. Love, dearly. There's so much you can do in this life. That means nothing. The one thing that means anything, and I'm sure of it now, is love. Love, dearly. Love while you still can. Try to minimize all that bullshit they tell you to do. Just love. Because life can be so damn complicated. And you just want to look around and ask questions. You got no reason to ask questions. And that's something that's inexplicable as well. Because you know there's no answers. Yes, that is in fact my intro. Now, I know some of you are going to be upset that it's a minute long and going, oh, it's too long, but I'll make a separate video about why intros are good, I guess. But whatever the case may be, we're here to talk about something different. And what we're here to talk about is a past person I talked about, and by that I mean very recently, but it was previously in the past, so I feel like it's necessary to talk about this. Yeah, so I was always going to make a sequel to this video. My plan was always to release it at the end of April, but there were some problems. You see, what happened was that I uploaded an hour-long compilation of Daniel Larson incidences, right? And what ended up happening is that someone from the SFO server went into my comment section and started comparing me to him. Why, you may ask? Well, if you know anything about the SFO server, then your answer's right there. But if you don't, well, that's another video for another time. So what ended up happening was that I had a huge back and forth with a whole bunch of people just with videos on their own on the 1st of May, right? Already not looking like a good start for this month, right? But whatever. Then what ended up happening after that is that people from Kiwifarms started contacting.
This is absolutely mind-boggling. The video that I originally made is over 30 minutes long. Meanwhile, with this, it's like, okay, so I understand that it's sped up, but at the same time, how is the audio so desynced to the point where, like, all you could hear by slowing the video down is the first 3 minutes? And keep in mind, this is something that I noticed before I even slowed down the video. Like, when I watched the video at the normal speed that it was intended to be watched at, I still got the feeling that there was an issue with the audio. Anyways, now let's check on OREA's Vidly account, which we haven't looked at since the very first video I made. Technically, we did do a little bit of diving into it in the third video, but at the same time, we didn't really talk about the account itself and more so people who followed that account, or by that I mean just one person. But, now that actual stuff has been uploaded on there, well, what I mean is like, new stuff, but like regardless, now that that's been uploaded there and it like actually has substance, I guess we may as well talk about it. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The thumbnail of this video is George Floyd. And looking at the title, you could just tell that this is going to be a satirization of either him as a person, which not that many of us even know about, or just his death in general, which a lot of us are very much so familiar with. Now, when you guys actually take a look at my video, the comfort chat, right? As you can tell by one point in the video where I do bring up BLM, you could tell that my feelings nowadays towards the whole George Floyd situation is more complicated. Yes, there are some justified reasons to have a little bit of negative feelings towards this situation, whether or not it be because of George Floyd's death itself or how people responded to it. But when it came to this whole situation, it doesn't really seem to fully, explain George Floyd as a person. And yes, I am going to admit, knowing what I know about this situation, there are some parts where I can admit some of it George Floyd did do wrong. Now, yeah, a lot of people want to pretend that the whole thing is about the whole counterfeit $20 bill, and like, I could see why people would be upset at that. But like, for me, I'm more so a little disturbed by the whole pregnant lady thing. However, there is one thing that a lot of people tend to forget, and I know for a fact I've seen this somewhere, and I know for a fact someone did have this footage in possession, but when I tried looking for it again, it turns out that this is just lost media now, as far as I'm aware. But anyways, so what I'm going to be talking about is how George Floyd actually didn't want any of this to happen. And no, I'm not talking about his death or anything like that. I'm talking about everything that came afterwards. Because there is footage of him talking about the modern generation before he died. So, keep that in mind, mainly because of the fact that what the people did in response for George Floyd does not represent his feelings at all, or even him as a person for that matter. And there are even anecdotes from his family that even said the same thing, which are slightly easier to find than the aforementioned footage. So, with that being said, it does seem especially cruel to poke fun at his death. Especially if you know for a fact that that's not what he wanted. Well, to be fair, he didn't really say that, but at the same time, we all know deep down that's not what he wanted. If you want people to make fun of your death, you have to be explicit about it. Like how Markiplier was. Don't worry, guys, he's still alive. And you know what? Now that I brought up the comfort chat video, I may as well talk about another thing. Now, typically, when introducing someone, I would say this is, and then the name afterwards. But in this case, I may as well introduce this person in a different way. This was BlueViceMan. I speculated a lot as of the reason why his channel got taken down. Do you think he manually deleted it himself because of this video that I made? Or do you think it got taken down because he had a clip of me attempting suicide as his Be Right Back gif in one of his live streams? Regardless, it is quite amusing seeing one of these channels taken down, especially because this isn't even the first time something like this has happened. Spyro the Bug Boy got his channel taken down, assumingly because of his mental state, and with this, well, this is for more reasons than just that, I assume. Like, it's so weird to see these people talk shit about me. Meanwhile, I'm over here still around and still relevant, while these guys are just, gone essentially. Like, really think about it. Doodletones just recently got canceled. I exposed Halo Fan for being a pedophile. Sean S. was ousted from the commentary community for being involved with me and Star Giant Productions. And trust me, there are other people he's been associated with that very well could get him ousted from other communities as well, too. TV Pumpkin Man just straight up doesn't exist anymore. And you know what? The same thing can be said for Spyro the Bug Boy, too. And not only that, but me and Wario just recently became cool with the fact that we exist. So, seeing as how so many of these people have been completely brutalized, and one of them even going as far as to actually be cool with me, you'd think that this situation would be no different. Then you come to realize that Willard was involved with this channel's production. And not only that, but so was Sean S., who was actively joining these streams and being friendly with Willard. Remember back in the old days where I had that mouse character in my videos and he always said, "You're spiteful." Oh my god, I can't even do the voice anymore. Well, yes, that character was in fact based on Sean S., mainly because a lot of his points in a lot of his commentaries boiled down to that. But it was also somewhat based on the commentary community as a whole because a lot of those people were making points kind of like that as well, too. Well, nowadays, I'm not really too against that as a point, mainly because of the fact that I've heard worse points made over time. However, I do find it extremely weird how Sean would hang around someone like Willard, mainly because of the fact that the whole spiteful point that was made back in the day was just used to call out people for using ad hominem attacks, whether or not they were being spiteful. And seeing as how Willard uploaded content that is nothing but, well, as Sean would say, spiteful content. God, I still can't do the voice. Maybe I'm getting better, I don't know. But regardless, seeing as how Willard uploads what he does, it's kind of weird seeing these two people get along. But it is kind of funny how, because this channel is gone, the only proof of this person's existence is my video with them in the title mentioning that the fact that they exist, their fucking persona, and this.
Hello guys, this is Future Blood, back with another commentary. Now, I got off from vacation, and my vacation is over, so I finally get to make more commentaries. So today, I'm gonna be doing another commentary on Sean Samson. Oh boy, what have he done this time? Basically, he made a commentary on Death Critic's commentary on him. Aw, isn't someone butthurt?
You know that phrase, people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones? Now imagine if you take that glass house and throw an entire fucking boulder at it. Given all the information that I know about this person, they best be lucky that this is what I decided to share about them. Trust me, getting into beef with me is not as easy as you think it is, especially if I know who you are. Regardless, though, there was a video that these people made where they were playing Team Fortress 2, and then just all of a sudden, in the middle of this video, they just decided to pull up my comfort chat video. But before they did that, they pulled up one of my more emotional videos, and like when they saw that that was like the last video I made at that time, they were just so hyped with the idea that that could have been my last video that I would make and then just stop making videos. You know, I find it absolutely funny how the Streisand effect works when it comes to stuff like this, mainly because my last video that I was actually planning on making and then just retiring altogether would have been my video I made on Funky. Yes, I would have still made some videos after that. I still would have made episodes of Fooly Cooly Cross Metal Gear, and I still would have made holiday specials. But, you know, after Fooly Cooly Cross Metal Gear would have hypothetically ended, then I would only do holiday specials. And then after that, given a few bits of time, then I would retire. But like now that all of this has happened with the whole OREA gaming bullshit and how like she's been like going after me in my comment section, and I know for a fact Willard and his fucking goons are involved in this bullshit as well too. So you know, really think about it. If you want to end someone's career, just let them do it themselves because I was very much so willing to with the, retirement that I was eventually going to do, but decided not to because of how horrible I realized that the internet is as a place, which I will get more into later. Regardless, what I'm about to do now is going to be really interesting, all things considered. Mainly because of the fact that what I'm essentially doing is making a response video to what could practically be considered as lost media. So, really, the best thing you could do with a situation like this is that, try to get rid of all possible biases that you have for me or the other person, mainly because of the fact that, well, a lot of the stuff in this video that I'm about to talk about really can't be proven that even happened. But what I am essentially going to do is go off of memory from what I saw in this video. So, yeah. So yeah, already as the video begins, like these people just immediately assume that the person who I'm talking to in this video is someone that I knew for an extremely long time. The thing about it is that when I started recording this video, this was literally the first time I've ever interacted with this person, like ever. So it's kind of weird to think that these people would make like accusations about this person, talking about how they're a quote unquote groomer, and even going so far as to be as cringe as possible and then say, oh, do we have a lead on this person? Like if there's some sort of fucking police officer or something. Yeah, because pretending to be a police officer on the internet goes so well every single time.
Mate is online, and guess what? If I'm gonna call Mate right here.
Yeah, dude,
is that all you got? Is that all you got? Is
and
that
guess
all you
what's
got?
Gonna happen?
Oh, damn.
He's gonna track you, bitch. So don't fuck with us.
You tried to fuck with me. You tried to fuck with us. We'll fuck with you.
Mate did.
He traced their fucking IP. Yes.
Yes. I'm not gonna say what it is because you'll be shocked.
I mean, I know where he previously lived.
So yeah, consider this as a warning, bitch.
Bitch ass little pedophile looking motherfucking piece of shit, bitch cunt.
Yeah, and also, anyone who lives near Florida, find his place and beat him up.
Well, I wouldn't want that.
Yes.
I wouldn't. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't want that for him. I don't want him to get beaten up. Like I fucking hate this dude, but I wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
Everybody hates this guy, and for the fact that he wants to beat the Leon and everyone else, that's the last fucking thing he wants to do. And we're not the ones that we should be fucked with. Not Leon, not Dice, or me, or Spyro, or even anyone else.
And apparently thinks I doxed him or some shit like that, as I don't know where the fuck he's got that shit from.
definitely not cringe at all, anyway, in the slightest. And then, like, the next thing that happens is that Willard then goes on talking about how, oh, I don't want you to die. I don't want you to kill yourself. I want you to live your life to the fullest. And, like, on paper, that sounds nice until you realize what this person has done. He sent his legion of idiots to go into my comment section to send me death threats. And while I was attempting suicide, he thought that instead of trying to, like, stop me from doing that, he thought that the better solution would have been to turn my suicide attempt into a fucking meme. But when I brought up the possibility of him betting on the worst case scenario to happen to me, you know what his response was to that? He said, oh, well, the worst case scenario in that situation would be your parents taking away your computer and then you commit suicide. Which is exactly what almost happened and what you were clearly encouraging to happen. Like, the reason why my dad didn't go through with taking everything away was just because of the fact that he knew that doing that would give you guys exactly what you want. Not only that, but in the part of the video where my friend says that you guys are all lifeless bozos, the immediate response from Willard is just a simple, no, I'm not. And you know, just to think that a person like this has any platform whatsoever when they use counter arguments like that just makes me think, man, if I would have done anything like that back in the days that I was in the commentary community, I probably would have gotten crucified. Like, really, you're just gonna sit there and just say, no, I'm not, without showing any proof that you actually have any life outside of the internet? I know saying that is very bold coming from me, but let's be 100% honest. No one has a life outside of the internet. Not even people who claim that they do. Not even people who make the whole touch grass argument. Especially those types of people. Like, if any of you guys ever been outside recently and just saw how empty your neighborhood was, that's most likely because everyone is just inside on the internet. But when it comes to, like, a big portion of Earth's population being stuck inside on the internet, would you really find it hard to believe that I would be questioning the idea of anyone being able to go outside, like, at all? Even if you're employed, I would still find that to be extremely hard to believe, because online jobs do exist, plenty of which are more important than you would let on. And then came the part of the video where I brought up all the many different things people have said about me, right? And Willard's response was to say, oh, well, all of that has been proven, right? Despite the fact that while this channel that hosted the lost content that I'm currently talking about now may have had this video up before my third video about OREA Gaming, hell, they may have even had this video up before I even made the second video. At the same time, it is kind of weird how I managed to quickly debunk all of these claims while this channel was still up, and I really don't think it's any coincidence that in between the time that my video that I made got like a ton of views, right? I feel like it's kind of weird to think that like this channel that hosted this video got taken down as soon as, I started getting attention for positive reasons this time. And when I brought up how Haruko is apparently good at loving in this video, right? Willard's response was to just straight up say, oh, well, isn't she like a bitch most of the series? But, like, I think that is like a horrible misunderstanding that most people have when they watch Fooly Cooly. Mainly because Haruko's whole thing is mainly based around love. Like, her ways of, getting to Atomisk is, based purely on love, whether it be to, do it through Naota or any of the other people who are involved in the series, right? Or her motivation altogether to get to Atomisk. It's purely filled by love. And while this may be a really complicated thing for me to actually talk about, mainly because, like, Fooly Cooly is one of those shows that are, like, so good that it's, like, kind of hard to describe. So, what I've decided to do was put some links to better videos that actually go into better detail about, all this stuff. So, yeah, because these content creators right here in the videos where they talk about Fooly Cooly, right? They just straight up took the words right out of my mouth. So when I went and started talking about how real women aren't as good, Willard decided to come in and talk about how, oh, well, you see, the reason why Rocky likes fictional women over real women is because he gets rejected and he also prefers underage girls. Which both of those are extremely wrong, mainly because I've got my opinion on my taste in women because of relationships that I've been in the past, which, typically wouldn't happen if someone were to get rejected all the time and never be in a relationship ever. Not only that, but how can you say that I prefer girls who are underage when the anime waifu that I picked out of all of the millions of anime waifus that exist just so happens to be the one who's over the age of 18? Sure, there are plenty of others out there, but this one in particular is not only over the age of 18, but doesn't fill out the whole MILF cliche, right? Like, keep in mind, there are so many other anime girls I could have went after who are all underage. Hell, a good majority of them are. But you know what? The fact that I chose one that's 19 years old really goes to show that maybe there's somewhat of a flawed perception on how people view this type of stuff. Then when I talk about the death threats, like directly, even just bringing them up, right? Willard then just immediately jumps to the argument of, oh, it's just a joke. But, like, that's so weird to really think about, mainly because how the hell are you going to take death threats and then just turn it into a source of comedy, right? Like, yeah, it can work, but in this situation, all you really did was just throw a death threat at a person and just expected comedy, right? Literally, the only people who seem to find any humor in this would be the people in your circle, which, might I add, is, not really that impactful to the grand scheme of things. Most people outside of this sphere don't really seem to find any humor in it until they join the sphere, right? And have, preconceived biases about me as a person, alongside, a twisted view on how humor works. I could very easily explain why this joke doesn't work, but there's one video clip that I could point to exactly that explains this perfectly.
They just wanted to let me know that it wasn't bullying. In fact, they said they were playfully indicating with their fingers that they were copying his workout, and they weren't bullying him. They just found it amusing. Back when I used to get made fun of, people would say a lot of stuff, and I'd always question why. And they would say, it's not bullying, it's just funny. Oh, it's for your amusement, making fun of me. Yeah, it makes everything 10 times better.
Yes, because using satire as an argument despite not knowing what it means at all in the slightest definitely indicates that you are well intentioned when it comes to doing what you're doing. Seriously though, there have been a lot of people on the internet who've been called out for this crap, mainly because of how they've been harassing people, right? And then they just come in and they make this same excuse time after time after time, and usually it works, but there are some times where it doesn't, like, well, this example right here that's on screen right now. I've seen this behavior justified in so many ridiculous ways. A good example would be where, like, someone just went into my comment section and said, oh, well, you see, the joke is your reaction, right? Which is honestly the worst excuse ever. Mainly because of the fact is that that's an excuse I used to make back in my days in the commentary community, and people gave me shit for that. But now that everyone is making this excuse, it's apparently acceptable. I remember back in 2019, I made a video called SJWs Need to Leave Anime Alone, right? And like, I basically went on a big transphobic tirade about a whole bunch of crazy shit, right? And then when you actually watch the video and, dissect my arguments and all that stuff, usually what I would respond with at that time would have been, it's just a joke, it's satire, yeah, yeah, yeah. But like, there's barely anything in that video that could really indicate such a thing. And it's especially bad when I know for a fact that there are people out there who genuinely know where I live. Like, those people that I showed earlier in the video where they were pretending to be police officers, yeah, they actually know where I live. So you don't think it's somewhat disturbing to like make someone extremely paranoid about whether or not they're going to die or not, just because of the fact that you're too ignorant to actually know anything about the situation whatsoever? Keep in mind, when I uploaded that clip back in 2020 of those people directly saying that they knew where I live, right? Like, you'd think that there would be a ton of people who saw that and, realize that maybe that's like kind of a wrong thing to go after someone about, right? Whether or not they're actually joking or not, is debatable. But regardless, like, you know, the video didn't really catch the attention that I wanted it to, especially if you look at the like to dislike ratio. Mainly because, yeah, this was at a point in time where, like, everyone who watched my channel hated me. Not like how it is nowadays, where just some people who watch my channel hate me, but regardless, it's kind of a clusterfuck. And I bet $1 million that this video was where you even saw this clip even appear the first time to begin with anyways. That being said, for everyone who's watching this video in my audience, not just those who have some experience with me. But it is admittedly really concerning that there are people out there who see that there are, people who are struggling with death threats online, and they think that when someone like genuinely is afraid that they're going to die, they see that as just, oh, they're delusional, when like in reality, like very often or not, like they could actually be dealing with a situation like that. And you know what? I think the best thing we could do in this situation is to handle this in a legal sense. Threats of violence, stalking, or harassing people, whether private individuals or public officials, are not protected by the First Amendment and may violate multiple federal and state crime laws. So, really think about that. I find it absolutely weird how these people want a moral grandstand when it comes to the death threats that Daniel Larson made, mainly because they think that it's only illegal when you do it to politicians or like people involved in the government. But no, like, this is something that could be applicable to, like, anyone. Like, if you make, like, a death threat to just, like, anyone, no matter who it is, it's illegal. And no, downplaying the situation isn't gonna prove your point. Whether or not you say, I was just joking, or something along the lines of comparing a death threat to just a fucking curse word. Regardless, it's going to be really hard to justify sending anyone death threats when it comes to a court of law. You guys ever wonder why I sometimes consider going to the police when it comes to situations like this? Well, here's your answer. Like, seriously, this is the equivalent of it's just a prank, bro. I'm dead serious. Like, have you ever seen that video of that one girl going into Walmart and then just smashing a TV and trying to justify it to the police when they arrive as a prank? Now that I mention it, it is kind of weird that describing a situation like that and comparing it to what's going on now with me is still undermining the situation at large, which is extremely fucked up. Regardless, I could go into detail as of why the it's just a joke argument doesn't work all day long. But I think by now you should hopefully get the point. There was also a part in the video where I kind of made a point in comparing that, my hate that I used to have for Sonic Frontiers and like the Sonic series as a whole kind of, you know, ruined me as like a person, right? And like how I don't want to go back to that, right? But in that point, I brought up how, hypothetically speaking, if I would have, went through with a sort of like hate phase of Fooly Cooly, which I've never went through and I hopefully never will, right? Like, I feel like that, if I were to go into a phase like that, I would, do something involving Adult Swim, which would hypothetically be something negative, obviously, right? And the thing about it is that when the people who were reacting to this video in the live stream saw that part, they thought that it'd be a good idea to make myself look bad by saying that, oh, well, you see, Fooly Cooly wasn't created by Adult Swim, it was created by Gainax. Except for the part that, Gainax doesn't own Fooly Cooly anymore, Adult Swim does. Look, it doesn't even matter when you come to think about who created Fooly Cooly, because fact of the matter is they don't own that anymore. You know what I mean? And so, how is it that you're gonna make a point trying to make me look stupid when you're the one ultimately looking dumber when making the point yourself? In times like these, I like to think to myself, wouldn't it be good if I had the video archived? And the reason why I say that is just because of the fact that I know that there's going to be some people out there who are going to pretend that idiocracy like this doesn't exist on the internet. And then there's like a part in the video where I bring up how like it's really stupid how a lot of these people in the SFO server or even just in the right wing itself want to go out of their way to complain about other cultures and blame them for all the really bad stuff that is happening here in America when a good majority of it is to blame because of people in America. And because of that point, I decided to point out how ridiculous it is for these people to be so overly patriotic in that they want to pretend that America is still the overly testosterone based country that it is, which even back then it was still somewhat of an issue. Now, in pointing out how that's an issue, Willard decided to respond with the idea that, oh, well, you see, having America be about that is based. I'm just gonna be 100% honest right here, right now. Toxic masculinity is something that definitely exists for real. However, a lot of examples of it are pointed in the wrong direction. There are so many examples of this that go underlooked so freaking badly. And I find it funny how later on in the video I use Stormtrooper posting as an example of a lot of this type of stuff that you see online, and Willard just pretends to be confused. Meanwhile, we all know what I'm talking about. And if you need proof that I know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to this situation, then let me direct you to So then later on in this video, I talk about how, despite there being a lot of really cutesy type anime, at the same time, there are plenty of anime out there that are very manly that just go ignored by these people who shit all over anime. However, when I brought up One Piece, I started to bring up how like the majority of the One Piece fan base is, people of color. However, Willard saw that and just immediately took that as, oh, he said black. Let's laugh, right? And then after that, he just transitioned into talking about an old video of mine where I blamed all the hate that Sonic was getting back in 2014 on black people, which, looking back now, it's white people. It's very much a white people thing. Actually, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity to do this. Sonic is the best. Please stop hating on him, all you white people out there. There you go. That's the redemption arc you all were waiting for. Actually, you know what? Can someone just get the David Bowie music in here, please?
There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our minds.
Being said, this completely ignores the point that I was trying to make to begin with about how anime can very well easily be as, masculine as, Western media. It's just that, when they do it in a way that's like actually intelligent, First example I could come up with would be something like Berserk. Yeah, sure, it does feature a lot of violence and dark themes, and the protagonist is, well, this, but at the same time, you gotta really put into perspective the actual writing that's put into Berserk that makes it as good as it is. Berserk isn't good just because of the fact that it features a masculine protagonist. No, it's good because it's legitimately good. Like it actually has stuff in it that's like intelligent to the reader and is like actually, something worth considering. People who want to claim that Berserk is a pessimistic mess, you're clearly confusing it for something along the lines of Rick and Morty. As dark as Berserk can get as a series, the author does try to make sure that, there is a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to like, his messaging and all that stuff, Which is partially the reason why Guts is more seen as like character who learns as the story progresses rather than just, a role model like how is seen in like a lot of other anime and manga that was released around that time. But, in saying that, I think that this is probably going to go under deaf's ears. So, you know what? I may as well just jingle some keys in front of you guys' face and just make you laugh. Hey guys, guess what? Black! But anyway, so like there's like a part of the video where like I bring up how like, if like let's say for example the woke brigade came around, right? And they saw the shit that these people were doing, then like there would be hell to pay, right? And like the thing about it is that they heard me say that and they took that as like my support for those types of people. Like they thought that I was like directly saying that, oh yeah, I support Antifa, I support Black Lives Matter. But like the thing about it is that for one, when it comes to like the people over at Antifa, like I really don't support the violent acts they commit. I mean, don't get me wrong, I support the idea of being anti-fascist or, in a more better sense of the term, being just like against fascism. But, when it comes to just being violent about it, I really don't seem to like that. Same can be said for Black Lives Matter, too. Like, the name itself, Black Lives Matter, like, I agree with that. Yeah, they do matter. But, like, the thing about it is that, I just don't like it when people go around and start committing violence over it? And the thing about it is that, with the whole Black Lives Matter argument, they seem to like, you know, talk about how like the name is like the most definitive part of the organization or movement or whatever, right? But then when you go to All Lives Matter, they like to, go after that because they say, oh, well, not all lives matter until Black Lives Matter, right? They say stuff like that. But like, I think a better point to put across is that good majority of the people in the All Lives Matter movement don't really support the idea that all lives matter. They only support the idea of, people who aren't minorities mattering, which really does sound weird from an organization called All Lives Matter until you realize who's in it. That being said, just like Black Lives Matter, if we are going to just take the name at face value, I'm just going to say it straight up. Yeah, I agree with that message too. Now, while yes, I am against the violence of Black Lives Matter, but at the same time, the reason why they're doing it is for a good cause. Not saying that that justifies it or anyway, but it's a reason, right? And because of that, I really don't think I could vitriolically hate the people who are a part of Black Lives Matter, mainly because of the fact that they're ultimately doing it for the right reason, even if they are doing the wrong thing. Which, with that considered, hearing people like Willard and his associate that was in this stream, right? Hearing them get so vitriotically angry at the fact that, not even the fact, just the thought of me supporting such a thing, right? Like, that just goes to show, like, you guys gonna get upset at what I said back in 2014? When you guys are here straight up being racist now. And no, I'm not just talking about them not supporting Black Lives Matter. I'm also talking about the fact that Willard just straight up threw an N-bomb in this stream. Yes, because hearing a white man who has a name that originated in the UK just casually say the N-word, yeah, that's very not racist. Until you can prove that you're not white, Willard, I'm not gonna buy it. You gotta show your face, too. No DNA examples, mainly because, I could be like 0.0.01% black, but that doesn't mean that I can visibly say the N-word, If DNA didn't work for Master Oogway, it's not gonna work for you. And then after that, they just spent the rest of the stream just sitting there and mindlessly watching the video, right? Without making any commentary whatsoever. I remember when I was friends with BlueViceMan and we used to talk all the time on Discord, he fucking hated this one YouTuber called Jinx, who did the exact same thing. However, he's doing it right now here, so I really don't see what the problem is. Oh no, the problem is that Jinx is black. Regardless, though, there was one point in this video that I found to be really stupid. And not only that, but like, I really don't remember where it was put in this video. So, what I guess I could do is just bring it up now that I'm done talking about all their other points that I remember where they brought up in the video. So there was a point in this video where Willard decided to bring up the idea of me being in a hug box, which I'm just gonna say it straight up. Like, the idea of a hug box all on its own is just really stupid. Like, here's the thing. The fact that humans can't even have camaraderie amongst each other without being accused of whatever the fuck, right? Is just downright ridiculous. And not only that, Willard, but don't you have goons that you order around to tell them what to do, whether it be sending me death threats or whatever? I'm pretty sure by that logic, that would be a hug box. Not only that, but currently I'm not in what you would consider to be a quote unquote hug box. I mean, for one, that person in the video that I was talking to, I don't really speak to them all that much, mainly because they're always really busy. And not only that, but when it comes to the people I do talk to often, more likely or not, I tend to disagree with them. And it's not just I just simply disagree. No, it's some of the most brutal disagreements that you could have with anyone. And keep in mind, a lot of these happen daily. While editing this video, another video about me came up. This time, it's still up on the platform, so I can cover it if I really wanted to. Not only that, but this is very similar in the vein of the video I talked about earlier made by OREA, so I guess we may as well give it a shot. Also, the video is using my voice, but in an AI. I find it absolutely ridiculous that they have to rely on humor so surface level to the point where it just boils down to, it's funny because he's saying stuff that we say. Like, do you guys even know why I had a hate base to begin with? It's because of a lot of the things I said back in the day from 2016 to 2020 was all just a bunch of bullshit that you would hear from, like, well, a stupid kid. Because that's what I was back then, a stupid kid. So naturally, you had people going out of their way to, like, make all these, like, extremely intricate counter arguments against me when they really didn't have to, mainly because of, the way I was, presenting myself, right? But now that I'm presenting myself so much better and like have actually learned from those past videos that I made, right? It's almost kind of mind-boggling how now like these people have just sort of stooped down to my level back when I was in the commentary community. And also, because of the fact that this video uses the exact same picture that is on screen right now, I'm just going to switch for a little bit to prevent confusion. Hello, this is and today I will be making a trilogy of documentaries about OREA, but in reality, I will mostly yap about how Kiwifarms is bad. Okay, I'm going to bring up something that I should have brought up at the start of this segment, but I feel like right here, it's extremely relevant. So, in the comments of the third entry of this series, this person decided to go out of their way to say that the entire trilogy is poorly researched. Despite the fact that I was using every single bit of information I got from this channel and from people who know this person, and I'm still getting more information till this day, mind you. So, how is this poorly researched when I literally put almost everything that could be said about this person in here, minus the stuff that's being said here in this video? And also, this was an argument that was made in the previous video that I talked about. Well, the one before the one that is not around anymore. But regardless, this point is that, like, I apparently quote unquote yap, which is an extremely stupid argument. There are tons of YouTube videos that are the length of a feature-length film, if not longer, that consists of the person just talking. However, those videos tend to be relatively well received. Yeah, there are people out there who go out of their way to criticize the length of these types of videos. However, the difference is that they criticize the length, not the fact that the person's just talking in general. Because they called my bullshit out for almost the past 5 years. Okay, this is just historically inaccurate. 5 years ago, I started to get harassed by the UTTP, not Kiwifarms. Granted, they are associated with each other, but that does not immediately correlate to them being the same entity. Also, in 2021, when Akumu made his video about me, people stopped going after me for a little bit. Recently, there have been times where I went entire years without people going after me on YouTube, whether that be 2022 or 2023. It isn't until this year that people started going after me again, and those people, while yes, are a part of the HXR, but then again, you also have people who are just solely in association with Kiwifarms, which is the first time that this has ever happened to me, ever. Despite the fact that someone said in my comment section on my previous video on OREA that they were involved in any of the harassment that was going on with me at the time, and even going so far as to claiming to be a UTTP member, at the same time, the UTTP were the people ultimately responsible for getting my docs. And by the end of this video, you'll see another UTTP member was involved in the making of this video about me. And tell you my sob stories of how I became a retard since the day I made a Wolfie-Chew rant video. Okay, another factually inaccurate point. I didn't start my time in the commentary community when I made that Wolfie-Chew video. No, actually, I started my time in the commentary community when I made a video on whatever the fuck I was talking about at that time, and I decided to send it to Doodletones over Skype. Also, to call the remainder of my third OREA Gaming video a sob story completely ignores the truth of everything I've been talking about in that video. Hell, even other videos about me, which I might add do leave out other things, talk about some of this stuff that I brought up in that video as well. So how can you chalk all of that up to just being quote-unquote sob stories when, there's definitive proof that it's true other than just that video? And bring up politics for no particular reason. Okay, so for this whole bringing up politics for no reason type of thing, I already debunked that earlier in the video. However, since this person is talking about the entire trilogy, I may as well bring up some stuff from the third video too. Now, the first point that I made in part 3 of my OREA Gaming series that has anything to do with politics actually appears within the pause to read segment, which is really weird to think about because I don't think anyone actually, did that, but whatever. I'm still going to go over it anyway. Okay, so right here is where the political point is. Now, when you find out what the political point even is supposed to be, you're going to facepalm so badly.
And honestly, who are you to listen to what Kiwifarms has to say? You're YouTube, the biggest video sharing platform to ever exist. I mean, TikTok is about to get banned, so you don't have any competition on that end. And even then, TikTok was still way more popular than you were for a short time, even inspiring you to create YouTube shorts. And they didn't need Kiwifarms to influence their algorithm. So what makes you so different that you have to ignore the Brennies and their other equivalents? But yes, as I was saying, there are adults out there who enjoy things that you assume to be targeted at kids.
So yeah, apparently the political point has to do with how I brought up how TikTok is going to get banned eventually, which, yes, is political in some way, since the person who's banning TikTok is Joe Biden's husband.
Hey everyone, I'm Joe Biden's husband.
So now the question remains, what was the reason for me bringing up the banning of TikTok? Well, the reason has to do with the fact that since TikTok's going to get banned, that would mean when it does, YouTube will then be the king of all video sharing platforms again. The first political point made in the video, and already it has a reason.
Chris Chan is only used as a scapegoat to harass people who like things that are seen by the collective consciousness is for kids. The weird thing is that in listening to the collective consciousness, you'll ultimately start alienating the actual majority. People online are usually seen as the silent majority mainly because in real life people are more into stuff like politics and sports or anything else they'd see on the news rather than quality storytelling. Doesn't that bother you at all that you'd much rather cater to idiots on Wall Street and basement dwellers on Kiwifarms? Because let's face it, even though they constantly use the phrase touch grass, they don't do it any more than the people they make fun of. Than the people who would otherwise be compelled by beautiful art? Really think about that. Anyway, next question. Why do we love stupid? Or more accurately, why did we love stupid? Because people these days see something that would have otherwise been comedic gold in the good old days and now call it schizo, and they use it as a reason to harass others. Seriously, what happened? I get it. Someone like Tony Chase isn't intentionally trying to make us laugh. But even so, why do we have to harass him? And also, what happened to actually funny stupidity? Like the stupid stuff we have on YouTube right now, like Skibidi Toilet isn't even that funny. People do make the argument that we had stupid GMOD animations back in the day, and while those people might be partially right, at the same time there's more to those GMOD animations back then rather than just being stupid. Take for example the vicious cycle of Two Fort. This video is a clear satirization of the game Team Fortress 2 and everything that happens when in gameplay. A simple idea, but it works because it plays with its idea.
Okay, so this time I literally bring up politics, as in the word itself. But why did I do that? Well, it's for multiple reasons, really. You see, in the real world, a lot of people tend to bring up politics, mainly because of the fact that, well, it's been a hot button issue since 2016. Not only that, but while I may not have made this clear before in that message, at the same time, there are a lot of political YouTubers who do manage to get really popular, whether that be for better or for worse. Usually it's for worse. And that was the last political point I made in that segment of the video. But what about the rest of the video, you may ask? Well, the next political point I were to make in this video would be 33 minutes after the pause to read segment. And if you haven't been paying attention to the pause to read segment, then it would be almost an hour into the video until we get to my technically first political talking point. How is it that you guys are gonna get so up in arms about me bringing up politics in my videos when I do it so few and far between to the point where it's even debatable whether or not I even did it at some points? It's like the stuff with like the lolicon, right? Like that whole thing is just people going after each other for just a thought crime, which, in all fairness, it seems a lot like the sort of barbarianistic thing that people did during the Salem witch trials and during the Red Scare. But now that I said that, there are admittedly a lot of people on Kiwifarms that wants another Red Scare to happen, which, in all honesty, all I could ask is what would happen if you would be accused of being a communist? Yeah, not a lot of these people on Kiwifarms seem to understand about the idea of things circling back to them. Yeah, well, it does happen sometimes to these people. Most often or not, it really doesn't. Okay, so now with this point, you may be really confused on why I brought up the Red Scare and communism and stuff like that. Well, you see, the reason why is because for quite a while, people have been accusing other people of being communists for many times in history. Whether it be the first Red Scare, which, led to.
Here's to you, Nicola and Bart. Rest forever here in our hearts. The last and final moment is yours. That agony is your triumph.
And then with the second Red Scare, what that inevitably led to was a bunch of people getting arrested and having their lives ruined. Now, if you ever hear someone ask, "What's wrong with the wellness check?" you should tell them,
Here's to you, Nicola and Bart. Rest forever here in our hearts. The last and final moment is yours. That agony is your triumph.
Now, while we might not be in a third Red Scare, we are getting kind of close to it since we are currently in a moral panic right now. What is this moral panic about? Oh, just general wokeness. That being said, since a lot of bread tubers out there are self-proclaimed communists, that could kind of lead to a lot of right-wingers pointing at them and being all like, "Oh, you see? This is why we need a Red Scare." Because, Wash having lolicon on his computer is equivocable to the fucking gulags of Stalin. A lot of the people who got in trouble during the Red Scare weren't actually like self-proclaimed communists or anything like that. No, they were just accused of that by the government. So, seeing as how a lot of people are accusing others of being into lolicon just because of, some shows having vague themes of that some people enjoy, it kind of makes me wonder why these people aren't going after all of the people out there who are self-proclaimed lolicon enjoyers. But if we do ever go into a third Red Scare, maybe I could do this.
Here's to you, Nicola and Bart. Rest forever here in our hearts. The last and final moment is yours. That agony is your triumph.
And that was the last political argument I made in that video. 2-hour long video with only 3, arguably 1 political point, and you still get upset about me, quote-unquote, bringing up politics for no reason, when in all of those instances there clearly was a reason for me to bring them up. And act like a complete retard since I yap a lot instead of doing research, and I will also falsely accuse Michael since he was the first person who called my bullshit out, which I will do for almost 3 hours. Okay, first of all, Michael was not the first person to call me out. The first person to call me out is Doodletones, and well...
Here's to you, Nicola and Bart. Rest forever here in our hearts. The last and final moment is yours. That agony is your triumph.
Also, how could you say that I'm falsely accusing Michael when not only I had proof, but... Still there! Oh, and trust me, that's not the only bit of proof I have against this person.
Sunday, Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days. Thursday, Friday, happy days. The weekend comes.
And there is even more than just that. Also, if you're noticing that I mainly chose to specifically talk about the Michael point in this segment and ignore everything else that person said, well, that's simply because of the fact that this person over here is repeating themselves.
3 hours later.
Thank you for watching my yap session. Now I will obtain OREA nudes and commission OREA Rule 34 since I got bored with masturbating fully coolly Rule 34 and also masturbating Wolfichu Rule 34. And see, it's funny because porn is bad. Also, another thing too is, why would I want to do anything sexual with OREA despite the fact that I don't even like her as a person? Oh, and would you look at that? UTTP member Lugia Boy is involved in this. Well, anyways, now that that segment's over, I could go back to the old avatar. Now, for this part of the video, I'm going to give some context, which involves some comments that I've been receiving on some of my videos. Okay, so this is the first comment I got from this person, right? And part of it is misinformation, but part of it also hasn't been debunked yet, so I may as well go off with what I know. Basically, this person right here told me that OREA Gaming and the actual OREA are the same person. Oh, and yes, there is a distinction. I'll get to that. Not only that, but a lot of the people who are being harassed by OREA Gaming, well, other than me, are all OREA's ex-boyfriends. Another thing that was brought to my attention was how OREA posted Rule 34 on her community tab. Keep in mind that this is the same person who posted a video of a dog being euthanized with UTTP officers floating around the screen. Also, another thing to keep in mind is how this person has rape fantasies about me and my dog. Seriously, this person does not deserve to own pets. So then the real OREA came in and confirmed that OREA Gaming isn't her. So from this point on, I'm going to call the real OREA Solid OREA, and the fake OREA, which is OREA Gaming, I'm going to call her Liquid OREA. Why am I doing this? Well, it's because it's a Metal Gear Solid reference, of course. They did this with Chris-chan. So then this person came in and pretty much said that Liquid was the one who orchestrated the entire drama. You know, this is starting to sound really familiar.
Oh, here's to you, Nicola and Barb.
It was at this point that I wanted to do an interview with Solid OREA, so I decided to plan something out with that. However, people so desperately wanted me to not do the interview. I mean, hell, they gave me the compelling reason for me not to do the interview by sending me this person's channel. Wow, this complete fucking retard is definitely gonna make me not want to do the interview anymore. So then, in Willard's comment section on his video showing the aftermath of my suicide attempt, he put my Discord tag in the comment section. You know, the closest thing I could compare this to is this.
Mate is online, and guess what? If I'm gonna call Mate right here.
Yeah, dude,
Is that all you got? Is that all you got? Is
And
that
guess
all you
what's
got?
gonna
That,
happen?
oh, damn.
He's gonna track you, bitch. So
He can
don't fuck with us.
You tried
Oh
to
my
fuck
God.
with me. You tried to fuck with us, we'll fuck with you.
Mate did.
He traced their fucking IP, yes?
Yes. I'm not gonna say what it is because you'll be shocked.
I mean, I know where he previously lived.
So yeah, consider
Hey,
this
Angry
as a
Gnome.
warning, bitch.
Bitch ass little pedophile looking motherfucking piece of shit, bitch cunt.
Yeah, and also, anyone who lives near Florida, find his place and beat him up.
Well, I wouldn't want that.
Yes.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want that for him. I don't want him to get beaten up. Like, I fucking hate this dude, but I wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
Everybody hates this guy, and for the fact that he wants to beat the Leon on it and everyone else, that's the last fucking thing that he wants to do. And we're not the ones that we should be fucked with. Not Leon, not Dice, or me, or Spyro, or even anyone else.
And apparently thinks I doxed him or some shit like that, as I don't know where the fuck he's got that shit from.
Keep in mind, this isn't the only piece of bullshit that happened in this comment section. So because my Discord got leaked, this person came into my DMs and then just immediately told me, cancel the interview, Solid OREA is lying. Which is a weird thing to say, mainly because of the fact that she hasn't even said a single word to me yet at this point. And then when it came to this message right here, this is what tipped me off to all of this being completely retarded. They compared this entire situation to George Orwell's 1984. You know, the moment that someone does this and they have no actual good reason to, this should be playing in your head.
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class!
So apparently, Solid OREA is a victim of sexual assault. Now, since there are people who know her in real life that are involved in this crap, you may as well come to the conclusion that this is what they're talking about. But, like, the worst part about it is that these people are straight up victim blaming her. Now, here's the thing. Whenever the phrase victim blaming comes around, it's usually really debatable on whether or not that is what it actually is. But in this situation, it is 100% cut and dry. And now it's been made clear that the UTTP is involved in this as well. Except now they go under a different name. And now they're trying to drive her to suicide. If there's any reason why the internet is as fucked up as it is, this is example number 1. And now they're talking about getting Kiwifarms involved in this bullshit, which is probably the reason why they were all up in Willard's comment section. Despite the fact that, I have one question. How did these people find Willard's channel? It's not even his YouTube name. His name isn't Willard on YouTube. So back into Willard's comment section. Now people are going in there and accusing me of grooming OREA. And the worst part about it is that Willard believes it. Yes, because the person I was having beef with is apparently a person that I'm grooming. You guys do realize that for a while, I thought that both Solid and Liquid OREA were the same person, right? How the fuck is Willard gonna fall for such misinformation that can very easily be disproven?
Willard.
But anyway, so this is the moment that you've all been waiting for. The interview with OREA. Originally, I was going to save this for the end of the video. I decided to put it here because of time restraints. So apparently OREA found out about this whole situation, involving me, of course, because of someone telling her about it on YouTube. And the worst part about it is that we don't even know who this person is, so this could be anyone. Okay, so now at this point in the interview, apparently she's telling us that yes, she was sexually assaulted, and basically coerced into sending nudes, right? But it wasn't to the HXR. No, it was probably to another acronym-based group or something. How much you want to bet it was Blossomport? Regardless, though, those were all the questions I had for her in that interview, and yeah, that was pretty much it. Now, I could go into talking about some comments in this segment of the video. However, most of the ones that I have thought of talking about for this part are either unfunny jokes or rape fantasies. However, I feel like doing something a little bit more interesting for this part. I'm going to cover the entirety of the third part of the series and point out every single point I've made in that video and explain to you guys why those points aren't straw man arguments. Because I know someone who said that every single point I made in that video was a straw man argument, which they're not. And I'm about to explain why. Okay, so before we start, I would like to make clear that I skipped a large portion of this video, mainly because of the fact that I believe that there's a difference between a point that could be argued and irrefutable fact. While this may not make sense on paper, seeing as the idea that someone who'd want to stop pedophilia would want to be involved in a pedo ring, when you really get down to it, it makes more sense when you think about it. Like, these people seem so anti-pedo to the point where it makes you think, are these people secretly pedos? Now, you could chalk this up to it being a straw man argument until you realize that there's an actual history of people like this. Right-wing podcaster complains about anime being for quote-unquote pedos, proceeds to get exposed for being a pedo himself. Bosch accuses the creators of Fooly Cooly for promoting child exploitation, proceeds to defend CP.
If the offender is consuming child porn without paying for it, if you're not paying for child porn, if you're just getting it, there is no moral or legal argument against that. That doesn't also like rope in you guys for the.
Hey, yo! And also has Lolicon on their computer.
See, this is an example of the kind of structure that I'm referring to.
It makes this person look like a hypocrite, doesn't it? Oh, and remember Sony's censorship decisions that they've been making? Yeah, this is the guy behind that.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you?
Wait, that's it? That's the only argument in the video that could even be perceived as a straw man argument? I watched the entirety of my third OREA Gaming video just so I could find an argument that I think could be, somewhat similar to that one later on in the video, but I guess not. Who was even the person who made that point to begin with? What? This person right here? I hate bringing private conversations to the public, but you know what? This situation, it's starting to mirror another one, actually. Just like how this situation started, it's going to end this way, too. I hope. So you want to know why the spamming of May 1st became as big of an issue as it was? And yes, that's the official name of it now. The spamming of May 1st. Well, you see, the thing about it is that he contributed to the spamming of May 1st, actually. He thought it would be a bright idea to justify the actions of the people who are going after me by saying, oh, it's just a joke and the punchline is your reaction. First of all, you are supposedly left-wing, just like how I am, right? And you know what? When I was right-wing back in 2020, you were probably more upset with me then than you are right now. I hope. The reason why I bring this up is because typically when it comes to left-wingers, they know that relying on cheap shots like that isn't good comedy. Do keep in mind that some of the greatest comedic geniuses of all time are left-wing. Also, I find it extremely hypocritical how you're going to call me an elitist, when meanwhile, you yourself and your friends are pretty elitist when it comes to Western culture. No, you're not allowed to like Fooly Cooly. You need to watch The Wolf of Wall Street instead. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that The Wolf of Wall Street is a bad movie. It's not. It's actually really good. However, when it comes to Fooly Cooly, I just think it's better. No, apparently thinking something is better than another thing is disparaging the other person's view on whether or not they like something or not. Saying that something is better than another thing isn't the same as saying that you're not allowed to like something at all. Whenever someone usually says that something's better than Fooly Cooly, I would just go up to them and say, no, I think Fooly Cooly's better. I know taking that approach isn't the best thing to do because it could lead to back and forths. But when it comes to me talking to this person and their friends, it always inevitably leads to back and forths. Not only that, but these people got mad at a tier list that I made a long time ago, which I don't really agree with anymore, about how I put Fooly Cooly on S tier, but I put Mad Max Fury Road on E tier. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think that Fooly Cooly's better than Mad Max. However, I would still nowadays raise Mad Max a little bit higher on the tier list than E tier, mainly because of the fact that I personally believe that Mad Max is a better movie now than it was before when it first released. Also, how are you going to claim that I'm a quote unquote elitist for making this video that you commented on, that being the football one, when here you are in this exact same comment section trying to moral grandstand against Fooly Cooly? You know, do you remember the last time someone moral grandstanded against Fooly Cooly?
If the offender is consuming child porn without paying for it, if you're not paying for child porn, if you're just getting it, there is no moral or legal argument against that. That doesn't also like rope in you guys. For the
Hey,
I would never.
yo! See, this is an example of the kind of structure that I'm referring to.
No, it didn't end well for them, did it? Not only that, but you've gone after me time and time and time again for being quote unquote wrong. Here you are doing the exact same thing yourself. Okay, well, I wouldn't consider this to be 100% wrong, but in the context that he's implying, it is wrong. Cyraxx sold the rights to Fooly Cooly back in 2014. People who own Fooly Cooly now are Production IG, who were originally the collaborative workers who worked with the original Dynax team during the run of the original Fooly Cooly. Not only that, but yeah, Fooly Cooly as a series did end like last year, pretty recently, with Fooly Cooly Shoegaze. But at the same time, unlike other series, it did actually have a satisfying conclusion to the story. Haruko pretty much got the power of Atomisk, which was what she's been wanting the entire series, and thus, that pretty much gives every character a happy ending. Hell, even other than Haruko, other characters got a happy ending before this part of the series. Like, really think about it for a little bit. Naota followed in Haruko's footsteps, Kanti got a beautiful family of his own, Mamimi became a professional photographer, Amaro got a son and a family of his own, Ninamori became mayor. Like, I don't see what's the problem here with the way the series ended. It's really not that unsatisfying. I'm okay with the way Fooly Cooly ended because it ties up a lot of loose ends. You know that one line from The Dark Knight? Yeah, that's what Fooly Cooly did. Died a hero.
You're either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Hero. And if it were to live any longer to see itself become the villain, some bullshit that I made up in Haruko Heroes would have probably become canon. I'm honestly glad that Fooly Cooly ended the way it did. That way, if it were to go any longer, what would have ended up happening was that it would have gone on so long to the point where it would have too many plot holes to even count. Similar to another series that went on for way too long. But you know what? Back to a previous point. How are you going to moral grandstand about always being correct when here you are just blatantly being wrong? And you know what? If you use the "it's just a joke" argument, I already debunked it earlier, but I might as well do it again with another video.
It's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank. The camera is right there, bro. The camera is right there.
You know, to think that the left right now is losing the culture war when not too long ago they were winning. And the reason why they're losing right now is because they're using the same tactics the right was using when they were losing. Blatant anti-Semitism? Check. Backwards view on comedy? Check. Lack of reading comprehension? Check. Look at this. You see this right here? This is the SFO server. The same server that started this whole Fooly Cooly related drama to begin with. Not too long ago, they made the same argument that, oh, well, in 20 years, this show will be completely forgotten by everyone on the planet. Now here they are actively saying that the show is good. The reason why the left is losing now and the right is winning is because they're doing all the wrong things that the right was doing back then. It's 2016 all over again. And it's fitting too, because it's an election year right now. And to think that I had some modicum of an idea that this video would be 4 hours long simply because I thought, maybe I could go back into my old video that I made previously and debunk some of the ideas that, I could possibly see being strawman arguments. But now that I've realized that I've only made one comment in that video that could even be remotely similar to anything that a strawman argument is, I think that this just goes to show that people out there are just not willing to listen, do their research, or anything like that whatsoever. Look, I'm just going to be honest right here. No matter who wins the election, it's going to be dystopia no matter what. But if there are any Republicans who win the election, you have no one but yourself to blame. I'm only left wing because I feel like it's the morally correct thing to be. And you know what? While yes, religiously speaking, I'm right wing, at the same time, yet again, that's another belief that I believe to be moral, right? What's your excuse for being left wing? You know what? Since I'm already amped up as it is right now, I may as well just end the video like this. The Nostalgia Critic, and I remember it so you don't have to.